In the 1920s, Chicago became a hotbed for criminal activity as gangsters rose to power and controlled the city's underworld. This era, known as the Prohibition era, was marked by the illegal production and distribution of alcohol. With the ban on alcohol, organized crime syndicates saw an opportunity to profit and took control of the lucrative bootlegging business. These gangsters operated in the shadows, running speakeasies, smuggling alcohol, and engaging in violent turf wars. They became infamous figures, feared and revered by the public. Join us as we delve into the fascinating story of 1920s Chicago's criminal underworld and explore the rise of these notorious gangsters. As the Prohibition era took hold in 1920s Chicago, a new era of organized crime was born. With the ban on alcohol, the demand for it skyrocketed, creating a lucrative opportunity for criminal syndicates. Gangsters quickly seized control of the illegal alcohol trade, setting up secret distilleries and smuggling operations. Speakeasies, hidden bars where people could drink illegally, became the social hubs of the city. These establishments were often protected by corrupt police officers and politicians who were paid off by the gangsters. The rise of organized crime in Chicago during this time was fueled by the immense profits generated from bootlegging. Gangsters like Al Capone and John Dillinger became household names as they amassed wealth and power through their criminal activities. The notorious criminal underworld of 1920s Chicago has many dark secrets to share. The Prohibition era reveals a murky world where illicit dealings and deception are commonplace. In the criminal underworld of 1920s Chicago, two names stood out among the rest: Al Capone and John Dillinger. These infamous gangsters became legends in their own right, leaving a trail of violence and chaos in their wake. Al Capone, also known as Scarface, was the ruthless leader of the Chicago Outfit, one of the most powerful criminal organizations of the time. He controlled the illegal alcohol trade with an iron fist, using intimidation and violence to maintain his empire. Capone's lavish lifestyle and flamboyant personality made him a larger-than-life figure, capturing the imagination of the public. On the other hand, John Dillinger was a notorious bank robber who became a folk hero to many during the Great Depression. With his daring heists and narrow escapes from law enforcement, Dillinger became a symbol of rebellion against the establishment. Both Capone and Dillinger were pursued relentlessly by law enforcement, but their cunning and resourcefulness kept them one step ahead. The lives and crimes of these legendary gangsters would have a bloody impact on the streets of Chicago, leading to their rise to infamy in 1920s America. In the annals of Chicago's criminal history, one event stands out as a chilling turning point: the St Valentines Day Massacre. On February 14, 1929, 7 members of George "Bugs" Moran's North Side gang were brutally gunned down in a garage on Chicago's North Clark Street. The massacre sent shockwaves through the city and marked a significant escalation in the violence between rival gangs. The mastermind behind this heinous act was none other than Al Capone, who sought to eliminate his main competitor and solidify his control over the lucrative bootlegging industry. The St. Valentine's Day Massacre became a symbol of the ruthlessness and brutality of the gangster era, leaving an indelible mark on Chicago's history. Now we will take a look at the details of this infamous event and explore its lasting impact on the criminal underworld of 1920s Chicago. As the 1920s progressed, law enforcement agencies began to take notice of the growing power and influence of the gangsters in Chicago. The authorities were determined to put an end to the criminal activities that were plaguing the city. Led by Elliot Ness and his team of untouchables, a group of incorruptible agents, law enforcement launched a relentless crackdown on the gangsters. They targeted their illegal operations, including speakeasies, gambling dens, and brothels. The gangsters, once untouchable, now found themselves on the run from the long arm of the law. The efforts of law enforcement started to pay off as key figures in the criminal underworld were apprehended and brought to justice. Al Capone, the notorious kingpin, was finally convicted for tax evasion and sentenced to prison. His downfall marked a significant victory for law enforcement and a turning point in the battle against organized crime. With the capture of Capone, the public's perception of gangsters began to change. No longer seen as glamorous figures, they were now viewed as ruthless criminals who preyed on the innocent. The era of the gangster slowly came to an end, as the public demanded safer streets and a return to law and order. But the legacy of the gangster era lives on. It has left an indelible mark on popular culture, inspiring countless movies, books, and TV shows. The stories of the gangsters continue to captivate audiences, reminding us of a time when crime ruled the streets of Chicago. And finally, we will delve into the enduring impact of the gangster era and how it has shaped our society today. The era of the gangster may have come to an end, but its legacy lives on in our popular culture. Gangsters have become iconic figures, immortalized in film and literature, captivating audiences with their tales of crime and power. From classic films like The Godfather and Scarface to modern TV shows like Breaking Bad and Boardwalk Empire, gangsters continue to fascinate and entertain us. These stories delve into the dark and dangerous world of organized crime, exploring themes of loyalty, betrayal, and the pursuit of the American dream. Literature has also embraced the allure of the gangster. Novels like The Great Gatsby and The Untouchables transport readers back to the Roaring '20s, where gangsters ruled the streets and corruption ran rampant. These stories provide a glimpse into the gritty reality of life in the criminal underworld. But why are we so drawn to these tales of gangsters? Perhaps it's the contrast between their glamorous lifestyles and the inherent violence of their actions. Or maybe it's the exploration of power dynamics and the blurred lines between good and evil. Regardless of the reasons, gangsters have become cultural icons, representing both the dark side of humanity and the allure of living outside the law. They remind us of a time when crime reigned supreme and challenge us to examine our own fascination with the criminal underworld.